Well, now to discuss this rapidly vanishing story, I'm joined by the Sunday Telegraph food critic Zoe Williams, with her the journalist and author Jay Rayner, who's written a book all about food security. What are we to make of what was the initial premise for going there, which was that the butchers had had to remove their display?
I'm surprised that men who make their livings wielding sharp knives put up with it, frankly. I am surprised they took them down. Look, meat comes from animals. I'm looking at this and thinking pork scratchings, because that's the kind of chap I am. We need to know that meat comes from animals, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it works.
What do you make of it, Zoe?
Funnily enough, by sheer coincidence, I went and interviewed these guys a couple of weeks ago because they're in Tim Yeo's constituency. Yeah. So I went up to say, what do you think of Tim Yeo? All they're interested in is the rabbit. And they said that there's a really weird divide in the community. You get people from Melford buying game, costs a lot of money. You get people from Sudbury buying, anything they can chuck in a soup, costs no money. They never see each other. They never refer to each other. There's a complete class divide in the butcher, and that is kind of what's going on.
But hasn't there? I mean, if most of the animal is to be eaten, hasn't that always been the case?
Well, sure. But what you find is that there's a kind of offence taking, which is just then privilege. The act of taking offence gives you a much stronger voice than the act of not taking offence.
Yes, if you're not taking offence, you're not saying anything at all.
Yeah, exactly.
There is an argument, which is that we have sanitised meat in this country because we buy it under cellophane in supermarkets. And although I don't, knock supermarkets as a knee-jerk reaction, there's a lot to be said for buying your meat from local butchers, particularly if they will show you what the whole animal looked like first. So you can point to it and say, I'll have that pig cheek.
But even that, you see, this has turned into a real kind of I think there's so much kind of class cross-current going on, because we talk about going to the proper butcher, supporting your local shop, but you're really talking about people with money and time. Sure. And the reason meat has been sanitised is that life has been sanitised.
If you had this in a supermarket, feels funny, doesn't it? If you had that in a supermarket,
it really smells, Jeremy.
It's the rabbits that smell.
He's made a long journey from Suffolk, all by himself. But if you had that in a supermarket, it would not sell very readily, would it? Whereas a packet of sausages, which could be the same stuff, but slightly differently shaped, would sell.
But then what you're talking about is, of course, expertise and time, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't have time to turn that into a sausage. I don't know about you. And if people who have a kind of relatively, if people who do cook from scratch wouldn't have time, nobody has time.
But that's not really the point about this story. The issue is people not liking seeing animals as animals. So it's not. No, it's going to take very skilled butchers to turn that into pig cheeks and crackling and crispy pig's ears, which are lovely. The point is looking your dinner in the face. I went to work in an abattoir to kind of understand what that's about and actually see the animals killed. I felt as a meat eater it was something I had to do. We have to face up to the realities of what meat eating is. It's an ugly business.
I know, but the thing about squeamishness is that there is a purpose to it. If you look at something and it makes you feel sick, it's because you're identifying with the pig, right?
None of that makes
I often identify with the pig.
There's a human purpose to it, and there's a kind of human beauty in in thinking yourself in the position of the dead animal.
Did you feel sick in the abattoir?
No, I didn't, and I'm not a sentimental man, but I suppose I knew what to expect. It was startling, particularly when a pig is not the same as a sheep, is not the same as a beef animal. Species changes everything. Scale changes everything.
Not in taste either.
No, I know that bit. That's why I've got a job. But it was quite striking, and it's startling when they're removing the viscera and putting them on candelabras of spikes and things like that. I'm not sure everybody could do it, but I do think people need to engage with what the process is. And if they can't engage with that, and on this, actually, I have a lot in common with the vegan movement, believe it or not. If you can't accept what it is you're doing, you have to think about why you're doing it, whether you're prepared to eat
That's
meat.
fair enough.
Well, look, the whole process of eating meat, if you were actually to be confronted with the reality of it, that you're breeding things for your own pleasure, which you then cause enormous pain, you can't confront the truth of it. Everybody looks away at some level.
I don't know if it's about pleasure or anthropological need.
Of course it's not. Come off it.
What would you not eat?
What would I? Oh, there's nothing I won't eat.
Nothing.
I mean, to be honest, I'm actually not a fan of rabbit, but only because I don't like the taste of it.
You would eat anything else?
No, hang on a sec. I wouldn't eat a dog.
You see, that's the thing.
You wouldn't eat a dog.
Yeah, don't get me to
Zoe
eat a
Williams
dog.
puts a line in the sand. It's the same thing. We are
Why?
subject to cultural.
Would you eat a dog?
I don't think I would, because
not?
because I live in Britain, in a country which doesn't culturally traditionally eat dogs.
Would you eat any kind of carnivore?
Carnivore. I'm trying to. Well, a pig's a carnivore, and I eat lots of them.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's about your cultural relationship with certain animals. Not so.
Would you eat a horse?
I have. Not a whole one.
Not at once.
It's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit. It is a bit disappointing.
You've probably
It's a
eaten
bit
one this
lean.
week, surely. I mean, have you had a burger?
Yes, but
Sorry.
where's this going?
I have no idea at all. Same place that story went in Sudbury, I think.
I think it's quite possible. There are interesting arguments here about how we get our meat and how we engage with that process and our willingness to go to the high street butcher, even if you are short on time.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks.